Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear
Yes.
you. I see you. Everything
Excellent.
is doing great. Nathan, you're there too?
Yep. Hi, guys.
All right. All right, let's get going. So, hello everyone. Thank you for being here for the fifth episode of the FME Server webinar series, the Directory Watcher. My name is Marc-Olivier Bourdeau. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Consortec, and I will be the moderator for this episode. At any moment, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A section on your left. You can also raise your hand. If you guys want to test it, you can raise your hand. Just press the little button on your left. If ever, yeah, there you go. I see some hands. Everything is working well. Great. So today is a really special episode. We have the chance to be joined by Nathan Hildebrand. He's an FME server specialist from Safe Software, and he is live from Vancouver, Canada. Hello, Nathan.
Hello.
Now, this is the fifth episode of the FME Server series. Thank you everyone for being here since the beginning. We really hope that at this point you know a bit more about FME Server and its numerous functionalities. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, well, welcome. You can access the webinar's recording on our website. I will be sending to all the attendees the recordings too by the end of the week. So this is a series of 7 episodes on FME Server. Each episode has a different theme. We do this every month at the same time, always. Now there's 2 months left, so 2 episodes. So yeah, let's get going. So my 2 guests for today, Felix and Nathan. So Felix holds a bachelor degrees in environmental geography and a master's degree in geographic science from the University of Sherbrooke. In 2016, after working as a research assistant for almost 2 years, he joined the Consortec team as a geomatic consultant. Since then, he's been involved in projects implementing geospatial data processing and integration solutions, as well as providing training and technical support on the FME technology, with which he has obtained the FME professional certification. So, hello, Felix.
Hello.
And now, Nathan. Nathan is an FME server technology expert at Safe Software, providing technical support and conducting product research and training. Nathan is an expert on FME Hub, application integration, FME for local government, FME platform support, and tree planting. Which is really impressive and useful. He loves constantly learning from and with users in his everyday work to get the most out of FME. Nathan has a BA in English and Human Geography and an advanced diploma in GIS. So again, hello Nathan, and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Marco. Hi.
Now, a quick look at the agenda. Well, the introduction is almost over, by the way. What are self-server modules? Basically, there's 3 episodes. The next 3 episodes are on the self-server modules, so we'll talk a bit about that. We'll focus then on the Directory Watcher and how to set up the Directory Watcher, and you'll have the chance to see some demo. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, feel free to ask or raise your hand. So thank you.
All right. I think Nathan, it's your turn on the slides.
Great. Yeah, should I switch over to my screen or?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Let me do that. All right. You guys see the slide there? Our mission?
Yep.
Yeah, so thanks, guys. I'm just going to give a quick overview of the company here at Safe Software, starting just with our mission, which is really simple. So our mission really is just to help organizations like yours maximize the value of your data, no matter where it's stored, what applications you happen to use, or who you need to provide access to for this data. Following this, I'll just give a quick kind of history of the company. So Safe Software was founded 25 years ago by our 2 co-founders, Dale Lutz and Don Murray. They recognized that some local companies, mostly in forestry, were encountering a lot of data challenges, and that was back in 1993. So they set out to help. And today, our data integration platform, FME, enables over 10,000 organizations worldwide to use and share their data where, when, and how it's needed. Since we're a software vendor primarily, we've got a network of partners like contractor who provide services for our customers. And for us, the focus is really on just providing and building the best software we can. FME is known for its ability to address complex challenges posed by location information, mostly geospatial. We have the best support for spatial data in the world. And while we're well known in GIS departments, we're kind of finding ourselves more and more into IT departments now as well, especially in cities, local governments, and also, county, state level, provincial, federal. So in this capacity, we're helping people like applications analysts identify cross-department, cross-system application integration with FME. Great, that's kind of a whirlwind there, and I'll hand it back over to Felix to start the technical deep dive.
Yes, all right. I'll take back the presentation here. Are you seeing the PowerPoint again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, sounds good. So these are, the next two slides are just a brief recap on what is FME. Nathan has discussed already what it does, but I'll just go into some introductory slides that we've added into all of our series episodes. So FME comes in three flavors. There's the FME desktop, which is the basic application or the basic software of FME in which we build and run our workflows. And then there's the two extra ones, which are FME Server, in which we automate or orchestrate the workflows once we've built them on FME desktop. And it has different functionalities, such as the directory watcher that we'll be presenting today. And same with the FME Cloud, except it's hosted on the cloud and not on your local machine. With FME Server, the goal is to automate your workflows. So using different triggers, we can assemble different workflows or chain them one after the other. And the whole goal of this is to eliminate any manual or complex repetitive tasks that we may encounter. So what are self-serve modules? The idea with self-serve modules, which is kind of a sub-chapter of our series, is that it relates to FME Server's capabilities to access data or workflows on-premise. We'll be showing the directory watcher, FME Server apps, and the REST API. So on-premise means that the user can work with FME Server on demand or whenever needed, directly or indirectly from the web interface. So these are three different ways we can do it with the directory watcher, the apps, REST API. There's other ways, of course, but these are the ones we'll be showing in the series, and today's the directory watcher. So the directory watcher, why to use it? If I can start by saying that for most organizations, data is stored in files, and then these files are organized within folders. It's still the way. There's a lot of information in databases, but there's still a lot of information or data that is stored in files. The directory watcher is convenient and easy to use. Hopefully you'll be able to see it today. And this tool is accessible by many users. So many people can work around the tool and get the results or some benefits from it. It also helps processing fastly the data and remove some manual steps. So the directory watcher, how does it work? It monitors or watches a specific directory for whenever a file is added. So it's the create operation, if the file is changed, or if the file is deleted.
Felix, quick question. Does the directory watcher work as soon as the new file arrives?
That's a very good question, Marc-Olivier. So it's not a automatic trigger. It watches the directory on not a schedule, but on a poll interval. That means we have to set a specific time or period interval in which we want FME Server to watch the directory. So it's not instantaneous, but we can have it run once an hour, once every 10 minutes, or every day to pull the or watch the directory, and then in that moment, the process will start.
All right, thank you.
There are other types of watchers, such as the Amazon S3 watch, the Dropbox watch, FTP watch. So if you're using any of these directories, it can be also you can also use these tools to watch the same way as the directory watcher. But if you had, say, an FTP drive that you'd like to watch for incoming files, you could do it with the FTP watcher instead. So when to use a directory watcher? Here's a scenario of a little town in Ontario called East Gwillimbury, with which we've implemented a directory watcher. So there was a contractor that was submitting on a monthly basis an updated file of installed water meters. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Then that updated file was dropped onto a network drive, and then the data was being processed automatically once the updated file had arrived with the directory watcher. How to set it up? There's two different ways on FME Server. So first way is through the notification service, which is now referred as the classic method, using the publication called Directory Watcher. The second way is through automations, which are now available starting on FME Server 2019 and ongoing. So here's the two different ways on the screenshot. You could see automations and notifications 1 and 2. So through the publication method, it's called the notification server service architecture. So there's 3 different components to it: the publication side, the topic, and the subscription, which all work together. The topic is kind of the central part of the notification service. So it receives information from the publication, and then that information can be used by the subscription to start a different process. In our case, the publication will be the directory watch, which will send a notification or a JSON string to the topic, and the subscription, or our FME workspace in that case, will watch the topic for the incoming JSON string. So let's do a quick demo of this. All right. Go to my FME server. I'll start actually with back to the scenario. So here is the spreadsheet that the city of East Gwillimbury was receiving on a monthly basis. It's information about water meters being installed. The contractor provides that information. That includes an address, so street number, street name, and other extra information. What they wanted to do is to join that information with their parcel data set that also had address information on it. So by doing so, they could create an extra layer with center points that would show wherever a water meter was installed. And then the GIS department, financial department was able to use that information to watch the progress of installation. Now, how to do the match between all of this? Through an FME workspace, which is here. This is the main workspace that processes the data. We're reading both the parcels and the Excel spreadsheet. We had some string cleanup to make sure that the address could match, so we brought everything uppercase. Then joining the 2 data sets. If a match was successful, we've updated a layer called water meters, so the center point layer on the geodatabase. And if the address was already existing, we've simply put it as an update instead of an insert on that layer. We've also added 2 different quality control notifications, if I can put it this way. So if we've noticed that in the spreadsheet there was some duplicate address, so we were sending an email in case there was a duplicate record in the spreadsheet. And if there was no match with the spreadsheet, we were writing a CSV file and then sending an email that was including the information. So maybe there was a typo on the spreadsheet, and then that was why it couldn't match to an address. So the different emails were looking a bit like this here. Oops, kind of a big, took all the screen, but duplicate records with the information, and then we also had another notification email with an attached, oops, right there, CSV file where there was no address that were matched. So this is the general process that was going on. However, to make it work properly with the notification service, we've also created a master workspace to call the processing workspace. So let me bring it up real quick. The master workspace would receive the JSON notification from the directory watch publication, which is here. We're parsing and flattening the JSON string to extract as you'll see, the file name, and then send it to as a parameter in the FME server job submitter. So as an attribute to say, okay, well, please run the child workspace or the processing workspace using the file provided by the attribute here. Now, how does it look on FME server? I'll go back here on my notification service publications. This is my directory watch publication for the water meter. So I'm watching a file currently on the resources folder of FME server. This is the specific directory I want to watch. I want to watch for creation of a new file for purpose of the example, every 30 seconds, but I think it was set up originally as every day. And once the publication is ran or succeeded, it publishes to the water meter new file topic, which is created right here. And then subscribed to this is the water meter run workspace. So whenever the water meter new file topic is triggered, if I can say it this way, my workspace is being run, and it uses the value from topic message as the input parameter for the path here. So there's a tool called the topic monitoring that will be in which we can see whenever a topic is being activated. So I'll just give a little demo here. If I drop a new file into my input data here, it should be, so I've just dropped it here, and then soon we'll see a new you should see a new notification message coming in. So this is from the previous runs of today. This is the JSON that is being returned by the directory watch publication. So in here we can see the path to the Excel file that is being dropped onto that directory, and this is what is being sent to the topic, then to the subscription in which the workspace will be ran. And then in my job, I can see later on that the workspace has been successfully run. So this is how I can see that everything worked correctly. And then in the end, I could see if on my data set, on my output, if everything has been updated correctly. So that's pretty much it on how the classic method works for the directory watcher. And now Nathan will show you the new way of doing so with the automation.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Felix. I'll grab the screen here now.
While you're taking the screen, we got a question. Maybe one of you can answer. How does this subscription varies from schedules and automations?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I can go ahead. So this subscription specifically Well, the publication, which is the directory watch, specifically watches a folder. Could be on FME Server, could be a networked drive. If you're talking about a schedule or a schedule that lives in automations, that's something that you've set up to be timed. So it's a way to kick off a process, usually a workspace, on some interval, whether it's every minute, every hour, every day, every month, whatever you kind of wish there. So this one just specifically kicks off a workspace generally when a file or a folder is updated. I hope that answers your question, Yash. And yeah, thanks for that question. Keep them coming. And yeah, hopefully you can see the slide here titled Automations.
Yeah, it works.
And great, awesome. So yeah, so what Felix did was a great explanation of how Directory Watch works in notifications. So what I hope to show now is what the same sort of workflow would look like in automations, which is kind of new in FME 2019, and is going to be we're adding lots of more features as we go along. So I kind of want to introduce it as a a graphical interface for creating these kinds of workflows, and I'll highlight a couple of new tools that are coming out in the spring with FME 2020 as well. So I'll just add too that since, or even though we have this new interface called automations, notifications is still relevant. They're still going to be around in FME 2020 and beyond, and they're still a great way to create these workflows. It's still a system behind automations. So if you know how notifications work, chances are you'll have a deeper understanding of automations. So I think that's a benefit as well. That said, automations is really the way forward. So not necessarily that you have to migrate your notifications to automations. They'll still be able to run, but if you want to do anything new, definitely take a look at automations. So the nice thing about automations, one of the nice things, is that it really can simplify the way you think about these kind of integrations. So as you see on the slide here, really we're just thinking about okay, I want to watch a directory, I want to run a workspace, and then I want someone to be notified who cares about the results. So that's really all it is, and the automations interface makes it really easy to understand that, because it's exactly the same. There's only 3 types of tools available, which if you're used to, FME Workbench with hundreds of transformers and formats, it should be pretty straightforward. So the tools are triggers, like Directory Watch here in this example, actions in orange here, which are generally workspaces, and then external actions. We're calling them external. They're typically things like emails in this example. And the lines here connecting these tools are just like lines in Workbench. It's just to show the flow of data and the flow of the whole integration. And this is just a really simple example. So all the different, subscription, publication, topic setups that are possible in classic notifications also are possible in automations. It just kind of depends how you configure those triggers and actions and stuff. So let's jump out now from here and just look at this kind of in the server environment. So here's my server. You might notice a couple of new things on the left here. This is the beta FME 2020. Don't worry too much about that. We've reorganized a couple of things. Hopefully it makes it easier. Definitely give us your feedback if you're going to hop on there and use that. But I want to focus on this automation, which I created to mimic exactly kind of what Felix showed there. I don't want to go too deep into the whole process because Felix went over it. And also it's really visually evident here, right? You can see kind of what's going on in the automation. I'll just jump in here and show you that the form for configuring Directory Watch is essentially the same. You choose your folder, your the events that you want to poll interval, same sort of thing. The really nice thing when we go sort of downstream to the workspace is that we're eliminating some of the need to parse that JSON and to also be aware of that topic kind of infrastructure that's going on in the middle. So now we can just sort of choose a key that's populated for us called file path and tell this workspace what file we want to read. And that's going to be the same for this validation workspace, which is kind of like the master that Felix showed you, and the same for the child workspace, which can also choose that path. And the second thing that I want to highlight here is this new thing in FME 2020 we have, which is called an automations writer. It's really just a normal writer. It's just writing data from your workspace to the automation. And that's these couple of ports, extra ports here, which you might not have seen before. So I'll show you what that looks like in the workspace too, just so you have that kind of view. So here's that sort of child workspace, we'll call it. I've hidden all the other processing, but I'm highlighting the automations writer here, which has different output ports, depending on the results of the workspace. Maybe we had some issues with duplicates or batches, or maybe it was successful and we just want the results. And then that data that's sent back to the automations can be used in things like an email, either populating an attachment or putting data from the workspace right in the body. So that email that Felix showed you, you could reproduce that in the automation. And it might look something like this, which is my very basic example. But just to show you that you can get data from the workspace into your email really easily in automations with the automations writer. So the other tool which I didn't mention was just the logger. So this is just to highlight that automations all have their own logs as well, making it really easy to keep track of what's happening in there. So you can view the log file of the automation. And this is just a way to write specific pieces of data you want from the automation of the workspace to that log. Really helpful for just highlighting, errors or anything that could occur in the workspace.
Nathan, we got a comment here from Chris. Chris says, one of the biggest updates with FME automations are that you can now pull the same email account in multiple automations. Before, in classic notifications, you could only pull one email address, but in automations, you can use multiple automations with regex filters for the email pulling to not clutter up everything in one automation.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's something I haven't explored too much myself, but I think it highlights kind of the level of creativity and complexity that you can kind of sort of easily come up with in automations. Separating out processes, and it seems like we've even added a bit of extra functionality here in terms of polling more than one email address. So, yeah, it's great to hear that, and great that you folks are trying it out. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Chris.
Cool. I think that's actually about all I had on my end for the demo. So if there's any more, no more questions, sorry, I'll hand it back to you guys.
That's good. Thank you, Nathan. So I'll share my screen now for the conclusion. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. All right, excellent. So we showed you the two ways, hopefully, can I say, as a little joke here, this was a bit my reaction when I was seeing or working with automations in 2019. So publication, topic, and subscription method, which we've been using in the past, still is present, still working, and is, as Nathan was mentioning, it's the background of the 2019 automations, but it's so simple now with the automations and very convenient to use that it's, I just thought about adding that little joke here in the slides because I find automations really interesting. Any other questions before we move on?
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can send them over. Meanwhile, I'm going to just go and talk about the two next episodes real quick. So we have the apps of the same self-serve module on March 11th. And then April 8th, we'll do the last episode of this FME Server webinar series, the REST API. And that will bring us to, well, pretty much at the same time as the World Tour, the FME World Tour. I don't know if you guys heard or if you already have registered, but the registrations are now open for the FME World Tour. So if you're in the Montreal, Quebec area, you can go on our website and register, or else you have, I'll post the link in the comments for everyone to go on the Safe Software site and then see which cities host one of the World Tours. So this is really a great event. Other than that, I want to, oh wait, we got a question. But before that, I just want to thank you guys for being here every episode, or thanks for joining us for the first time. Thank you, Nathan, of course, for doing this first, well, not this first, but for doing this webinar with us. It's really appreciated. And I also like to see by the window that there's not as much snow in Vancouver than here in Montreal. So you're really lucky.
Bit warm.
But yeah, so thank you very much for that. Does one of you want to answer the question we have from Garth?
Yeah.
Garth asks, does the watcher work with shared network drives, perhaps ones that requires passwords, or SharePoint folders? Mike?
Yeah. Felix, do you have an answer?
You may be able to complement for that example that we've done with the city of East Glenbury. It was a network drive, so anything that the FME server services can access to will work, because if you're setting up FME server for the first time, usually the services running the FME server engines or the core or the local are run by the local user of the machine on which you've installed FME server. Sometimes it's required to change the permissions of that user account to access these network drives. In terms of password, I haven't tried it. I don't know if Nathan you can comment on that.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Like it's as long as the service account running the FME server engine has permission, I feel like it should be totally fine for a network drive. SharePoint, I don't think is one that I think Amazon S3 and network drives are the main shared resources that we can watch out of the box in FME server. If you wanted to monitor SharePoint, you might just have to do sort of like a workspace on a schedule and use a SharePoint reader to monitor that. That might be how you do that.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we got another question for Chris, and I can answer that one. So I'm really happy I can contribute to this webinar. So Chris asked, will you guys be presenting at the user conference in 2020? The answer is maybe. We did submit two presentations to co-present with clients at the event. So we're waiting to see if those presentations are accepted. That would be really awesome. We're a team of, I think we're going to be 5 of Consortec at the event going. So yeah, I hope we'll see you there, and hopefully we get to give those 2 presentations. And thanks for asking. So that's it for now. I don't see any other questions. So thank you for being here. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them. You got Felix's info right there, and Nathan's also. And you also got my email address, which Felix put in front of the guy laughing at his screen, because that's what marketing people do, right? We just sit there and chill in front of our screens and laughs. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask, and we'll be happy to help you with anything, basically. So thank you again, and hope to see you at the next episode.